I'm going to be doing the second round of testing on some DSi Excel consoles. These two just got done running a battery test this morning. So I'm going to want to start filling out my little sheet for that. A very snazzy looking rose gold console. The only one I have. Rose gold consoles are a little hard to come by. Especially because a lot of their parts you just can't get, since it's an atypical color scheme. It's exclusive to the American market. Especially these top screen lenses. And some of the shells I have are not in that great a shape either. This one's not perfect. It's got scuffs along the hinges, but it's not in horrible shape. So I have an application. Oh, well, that just wiped it. Right. Well, that means I'll be doing that battery test again if I can't get a data point. That was a 100% force of habit. Yeah, I'll run that test again later. Just gotta get that charged up again. What's another discharge cycle? This burgundy console is sort of a experimental one. This one had some pretty aggressively yellowed screens. And I changed the backlight in those screens to fix the yellowing. This one had 4 hours and 10 minutes. And it is not perfect. There is still hints of yellowing. It is entirely possible I took the backlight out of a console that had yellowing. But it is much better than what it was. This was a console I had for sale. This was one of my earlier consoles that just never sold due to the yellowing. And when I went back to look at it again a year or so later, I'm like, my God, this thing has well outside of my standards for yellowed screens. So I decided to fix the screens by replacing the backlight, like I said, and it's better. This is the same LCD, same like screen housing and everything else. All the diffusion layers are all the same. So this will be an interesting one. I'm going to be observing it for a while to see if it's able to be sold. Because ideally I would like to, I have a literal box of screens right next to me that are just yellowed beyond what I would consider okay to try and sell. And if I can just replace the backlight to fix them, because the LCD and the ribbon cable are fine, but they're just yellowed and they look disgusting. So I hope to revive those screens with using parts out of screens with like torn ribbon cables or where the LCDs are busted. Anyway. I grab my literal stack of blue consoles that I got. This is 6 of them right here in front of me. So for the second round of testing, I'm still sort of formulating a testing protocol. The main components I got, but I realized recently I need to keep, and there are some tests that need far more rigorous and repeated testing in order to approve. Like 2 testing suites isn't enough. I need to incorporate a 3rd. Let me clear them out of the way and I'm just going to quickly do one at a time. So for testing 2, there are two main points I want to look at, which is the shoulder buttons and the game card slot. Every other component should be fine. I have already ran them through one test suite, and them passing that test suite, I have no reason to believe that they would fail. Maybe over a long period of time, but not over like a couple days. Where the shoulder buttons and the game card slot can act up if I clean them, for instance, the alcohol completely dries and they begin displaying the same symptoms, either because the wet so to speak pins were helping contact, and when they become bone dry over a course of 24 hours they just revert. For the game card slot in specific, that could just be because I need to bend the pins a little. They've just been bent down over the years of game card slots rubbing, or game cards rubbing against them. The shoulder buttons just could be worn out beyond repair, and just a little bit of cleaning did kind of help, but just wasn't enough, and they just had to be replaced. So let me first look at this one. So we're going to start with the difficult one. So this one failed my game card slot test. Test 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test the shoulder buttons. And this was a game card slot that I did clean. So I'm going to test the two shoulder buttons real quick. Oh, yeah, it's froze. This is a console that I'm probably going to have to take apart and bend the pins up. For it to freeze on my R4 card like that's really bad. I am just going to test the shoulder buttons either way. It's entirely possible that I accidentally just pulled out this SD card slot, or the SD card, because it's not really even held in by anything. This R4 card's kind of cheap, but it works. I've definitely got my money out of it. But as far as locking that little micro SD card in, it's not very good, so can't say. I may have jumped the gun a little in blaming the game card slot, so we'll just see how it... We'll see how it does when I throw my shovelware games at it. I'll get my diagnosing software loaded up. I'll just do a full suite, test all the face buttons. All of these face buttons should be fine. Again, if they were displaying problems, it would be somewhat similar to the shoulder buttons, but usually I'm only finding problems with the face buttons if there's like water damage or heavy corrosion on the boards. Which both shoulder buttons are still good. So now I have my stack of shovelware games right here that I'll just be doing one at a time. I'll only explain this once since I don't want to explain it 6 times. But we'll start. I'll stick the game card in normally. The Dog Whisperer, specifically, this first shovelware game, has been having problems on a couple of my consoles. It's entirely possible it is just the game card. I haven't cleaned those pins specifically, but I have used it to clean game card slots. So if it's only this card that it's having troubles reading, then that's one thing, but for now that one's becoming very consistently difficult to read by consoles. I can test it in some... for now, that one, we'll just see how that one pans out over the course of these next consoles. So we'll do Go, Diego, Go. I'll insert the card normally. Pops up. Put a little bit of pressure on the game card and shift it side to side. Just to be like if you were to accidentally bump it while you were playing. Not enough to trigger the mechanism. Just a little bit of pressure and just kind of shifting the game card side to side. It doesn't disappear. Then I'll smack it against the inside of my palm. Game doesn't disappear. Pampered Pets. This one can take a second to pop up, but there it is. Shifting side to side. Good. Wonder Pets. Oh, hit the shoulder button. I didn't see it disappear, so that's good. Crafting Mama. The smacking it on my palm also tests the battery contacts as well indirectly, because it also, if the battery were a little loose, or maybe the contacts weren't as good, the console would just blip out completely. But Bejeweled 3. Good. And then SpongeBob, last but not least. So, similar to a couple other consoles that I've had during this first round of testing, or doing a first round of testing, Dog Whisperer has been having a problem, so that seems to be fairly consistent. I'm going to just kind of keep it as it is, but for what I'm going to do is just do another cleaning on the game card slot for this console, while sort of also cleaning this game card. So I just wet the pins with rubbing alcohol. And then just take it in and out of the console. And this game card will read. Like, if I were to take it back out and put it back in, it would have probably popped up. But the fact that it didn't read it initially is a bit concerning. It's possible the rubbing alcohol is making it worse, but I've never had a game card fail on me by having rubbing alcohol on it. Okay. So that console is good. It did fail the first test because it couldn't read, or I was having troubles reading more than one game card. Now it's just down to one. So for now, I will pass it. So test 2 passed, trouble reading one card. If it were a different card in this stack, I would be a little more concerned, but since it is the Dog Whisperer again, that sort of gives me pause. It's been very consistently this game. And what do we have? 7 cards, so a 6 and 7 success rate. I'd say it's pretty good. Whatever percentage that would come out to. Next, we have another blue DSi. This one passed, test 1. Bottom screen has minor yellowing, shoulder buttons replaced. Is this the one with... Ooh, that shoulder button's not clicking. It's entirely possible that there's still some flux in there and it's just gumming up the button. It's not... Like, I hear it clicking, but the button itself isn't that springy. At least not at first. Now that I've loosened it up a little, it's starting to... So I'm going to set this one aside. That shoulder button needs to be cleaned out. I need to try and flush out Possible it's just more flux in there that needs to be taken out. So let's go on to the third one. This is another blue. So this one failed to read one game. That was the Dog Whisperer. So I'm going to do the same test suite here. Check the face buttons at first. These are really blue screens. Oh, and this is the one I replaced the lens on, because the lens is a little different color. It's just strange when you looked at these consoles for as long as I've have. Okay. And the shoulder buttons were sort of my main vested interest here. It looks like they're doing okay. Directional buttons. Good. So now let's test game cards. Good. Good. Oh. It's entirely possible I'm pressing down just a little too hard. No. I'm not pressing down much more. Let me just take it out and put it back in. Yeah, that one is popping away. So that one failed. Dog Whisperer. Now, kind of like what I was saying about a full drying cycle. Like a wet and dry cycle. Like now this card's reading just fine. And now it is still having a problem reading one game. But what I need to do is specify which game it's having a trouble reading. So I'm going to go back and write that on my other console. I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, it was the Dog Whisperer that I was having problems with. But it is still, again, only one card. And every time, I definitely kind of ruin my testing procedure by cleaning these cards all the time, but... But similar to last time, it failed to read only one card, so I will pass it, but I will keep that note alive, as that's something I really want to nail down. I won't be as sort of lenient when it comes to the final testing. I would hope that 2 rounds of cleaning would be enough to at least rule out that the game card slot is dirty. I can really go into there and start lifting pins, which is a pretty... I would say it's fairly effective, but can be a little dangerous. I can either overly bend a pin, not necessarily snap it. Thankfully, the pins in the game card slot are pretty easy to replace. If you have junker consoles, of course, but... But yeah, it's just it's a pretty surefire way of making good contact if those pins have just bent down over the years. Next console. This one has screen protector on. Oh, okay. This one's one of my older batches of blue consoles, so this is where I only did one test on them. Since I kind of have it in this batch, I might as well just do... I have a white console kind of in the same spot, where it's part of my older system. It wouldn't hurt to run a test on it real quick, just to make sure that my initial testing protocol held up over the year or so these have been sitting. Turns on. So these are consoles that are ready for the final test, which I do one more final protocol before putting them online. L button hesitated there right at first. But I'm not able to repeat a bad input. So I'm going to say that's good. Pampered Pets I'm going to put at the bottom. I'm a Dog Whisperer. So this exact protocol I'm doing, I did do on this console as part of... Or either I think I usually do this as part of my first round of testing, so... If I passed it back then, I have no reason to believe it won't pass now. Whether or not this testing stands up to real-world application, I can't say. I'm cycling through 6 DSi consoles right now, and... Well, actually, what will be 7? I just don't have the time to really fully test every single console for hours on end. It's just not realistic. But I do what I can to have the most robust testing strategy for the worst case scenario. Here's Pampered Pets. Had no problem with that. Dog Whisperer. This one pass. Not a horrible console. I haven't looked at this guy in a while. Definitely some wear. You can see some pretty good notches. I haven't wiped this down so it has all my fingerprints on it, but there's also some good scuffs up here. So test 2, it passed. Flying colors. You actually are ready for final. I will give you that. Let me get this white console out of the way. Same deal. Should be ready for final. Japanese console. Not bad. I think there's a little bit of yellowing at the top of the white, or the top of the screen, but it's not that bad. My opinion of yellowing is if it's mild enough, you're not going to see it when you're looking at like this display, for instance. If you could tell me you could spot the yellow corners on, I don't know, like the Mario Kart title screen, then you are particularly far more sensitive to it than I am. I would have no problem playing a console like this. And this one's in pretty good shape, too. I notice with these white consoles, sometimes the lettering for the power and the start and the select start to rub off. I don't know why it's specifically these consoles. It is a little around the start button that it's a little worn down. And I know because it's a white console, sometimes I have to be a lot more aggressive when it comes to cleaning these, because it just attracts dirt and dust and just dark spots. So I've had to take a magic eraser to some of these. But they usually come to me with sometimes these letterings are just worn off. But yeah, this is a really good shape yellow console. Yellow console, white console. Shoulder buttons pass. I almost don't want to say white because this console is more of a cream. It's not like the DSi where they actually have a white skew. I think they called it, I think the skew for this is natural white. This is a Japanese exclusive color scheme. Okay. I don't think any of these game cards are DSi exclusive, DSi enhanced games, so they should all pop up on a Japanese console. DSi enhanced games are region locked, so if any of these games were actually DSi enhanced, they wouldn't even pop up. I have a Mario vs. Donkey Kong game that I can't play on any other region console but American. And the game card's perfectly fine. Oh, hang on. Okay, that one failed. Spectacularly failed. Jeweled 3. Ooh. Alright. That one failed too. Ooh. 3 in a row. Let me double check. I'm not pressing that hard down. Yeah, okay, that is consistent. Cool, so this was worth doing. I'm going to clean the game card pins, and I need to put it in for another round of testing. So it is not ready for final testing. I would have caught this on the final test, but... Okay, should be good. Alright, another blue console. Trouble reading one game at first. Okay. Me being as vague as I am isn't really helping me in the future. Uh-oh, I did not charge this one very much. I'll just have it on the battery charger while I do these tests. This one might be fresh off of a battery test, and I just put it away without fully charging up the battery. Which I may do after this. I'll just leave it on this charger. Okay, read all the shoulder buttons read just fine. Let's go at it. Pampered Pets. Okay. Go Diego, go. Dog Whisperer, I think that, if I remember, maybe this was the console I put Dog Whisperer in. It didn't show up. Took it out, put it back in, showed up, and then it subsequently passed. Not having that problem right now, thankfully. No problems whatsoever. I will confidently say this one passes. I did not have any problem with the second game, or with any games. So I'll just check off that I did acknowledge that, and it passed for test 2. I could specify that it was in test 2 that I acknowledged it, just like I didn't have this problem. I'll leave this one on a charger. Check my another blue console. This one failed because it had problems reading game cards. I did clean it, so we'll see. Snap these clips on. Shoulder buttons are good. Didn't need to turn the console off, force a habit. Okay. So far, it's looking like the cleaning did a good job. Which is kind of what I typically see. Sometimes all those game cards need is just a little bit of rubbing alcohol and some friction. Either they have a little bit of corrosion on them, maybe a little dirt, maybe just some grime. Because right now, this one failed reading game cards, and it passed with flying colors. So it's kind of a miracle what just a tiny bit of cleaning will do. So as far as test 2, it passed beautifully. Making special note that it's kind of a shitty check mark, but making special note that it did pass test 2, acknowledged it, and where it failed test 1, it passed test 2. So now we're onto the console with the shoulder button. So this one's going to be a little more involved. I'm going to, of course, take it apart and check that shoulder button. It was... yeah, left. It was even kind of seized up there right now. I don't know why it's not springing back. That should be completely irrelevant to the button itself. That's related to the little spring and the pivot for the shoulder button. Whatever, the shell, the actual thing you touch, not the internal button. I don't really have the terminology to sort of discriminate between the button and the button. So just bear with me on that. Entertain my woes. Put that over there. So I'm looking at this left side button. Yeah, even now, it's just, it feels weird. Like, I'll kind of show it here. So this, my right side button has no problem. It actuates completely. Click. You can see it sort of go in and out. This one, however, like I'm pressing it and it just feels stiff. Doesn't have that actuation. What I think it could be, I don't exactly know. It's possible. I remember having kind of troubles getting this button installed. It's entirely possible I installed this button a little too far forward. Or maybe the spring is a little worn out, or... I'm actually not sure. Because as far as the button is concerned, it looks fine. It's a little off center, but that shouldn't really matter because the main rubber is poking through the little cutout. Let me try different hardware. Let me try a different spring and a different pivot. And it could just be as simple as that. Like maybe that pivot has some like syrup on it from water damage. I won't be making claims like that quite yet. Or maybe the spring is a little worn out. I can test them with my calipers really fast. A spring is a little hard to get a caliper reading on without accidentally compressing it and getting a false reading. Just sort of enough to touch it. I would say maybe like 6 and 6.5 millimeters. And this one's about the same. Again, it could be that little pivot, but this will sort of... These are two completely new parts. Well, not completely new. They're two completely different parts. They look fine. Let me get it back together so that I don't accidentally fire that spring somewhere across the room. This button definitely doesn't have as much travel, but it is clicking all right now. It is possible that button is sitting a little too far forward. Deciding kind of what I want to do right here. I think I might just end up replacing these with some OEM shoulder buttons. Just completely swap them out. I don't really want to give up on this because the buttons are fine. And it would be nice to get a little better at installing these buttons, just for the sake of the future. Because a brand new button, theoretically, should last much longer than any OEM button that I'm currently putting into consoles. I'm just going to take it out and just kind of see how it's resting. It's not striking me as sitting too far forward. It's really sort of the interesting part. Should be perfectly fine. But it's possible just that extra fraction of a millimeter forward and it just gets that no actuation. Yeah, I'm just gonna replace them with OEM for now. I kind of hate doing that, but I think that's just gonna solve this problem until I can tinker with this shoulder button a little more. Like, this right shoulder button is perfectly fine, even with my aftermarket button in it. Maybe I just got lucky installing it, or it just went on perfectly. I will have to run additional tests just on the premise that I have a new SD card slot and new volume buttons. Before I go installing these, I'm just going to check the buttons real quick. Have my meter on continuity just to see if it chirps at me when I press the button. Much easier said than done. That one's good. That one's good. Both chirped at me when I was pressing the buttons. At least they're good enough to know that they're not completely fouled. Whether or not they're actually good, that's what my R4 card with diagnosing software will determine. I may end up working on these shoulder buttons off camera just to see if I can get it lined up and put it in a console. Yeah, even just looking at the OEM one, it sits much further back, so I'm thinking just this volume button is a little too far forward. That's a problem not related to this, so I will do that later. But let's get everything back installed. I'll just keep the different pivot and shoulder button spring. As far as I'm concerned, they're basically all the same as long as they're not rusted. Because I don't think I've ever actually had a worn out spring. That was a theory I just tossed out, but I don't think they experience that much mechanical stress to actually shorten over time. It's possible. I don't... Definitely not saying that can't happen, but I haven't seen it significant enough to impact the performance of the shoulder button. At least not yet. They sound good. I am going to put the back shell on because the shell clamping down on those shoulder buttons is important. Just in case there is a problem. Shouldn't be. But I need to simulate the conditions of a complete, fully assembled console. So I'm going to just cross that out. Just say that I swapped them to OEM. That scratch. I didn't see it before. I doubt I can show it up here. But there's a very small hair scratch. I can see light refracting off of it. Trying to see if I can get it to show up, but this is one of those extremely minor things that really only shows up in person. Oh, there's no screen protector on it, thankfully, but I'm going to have to replace the lens. Cool. Okay, so let me just test the game or the SD card slot as well as the volume buttons. Up and down volume buttons work fine. SD card slot, I'm just gonna... I slotted in an SD card that had a song on it. So now I'm just going to navigate to that and play the song. Which is playing the song just fine. So that tells me both of the sort of auxiliary buttons and slot work for the shoulder buttons. I'll deal with the top screen lens here in a little bit. Let's go to my R4 card, diagnosing software. Turn down that volume. I've heard that song a lot. Good on the person who made this, but when you hear that song all the time through testing, just don't want to hear it anymore. I thought I was hearing it come out of the speakers at 0 volume, which would be interesting, but it was just me hearing things. Get that clipped on. Face buttons should all be the same, and they are. Now, R button's testing good. L button's testing good. Now, game card slot, which I did not report any problems with test 1, so hopefully it stays the same. I may have pressed a little too hard there. That was my fault. Okay, we're good. I'll test that one more time at the very end. I'm pretty sure I just pressed just a touch too hard. Like, almost to the point of engaging the mechanism. Whoa! So that will happen. It's a battery-related issue. Sort of the combo perk of doing that hitting test. So what I'm going to do is just take my dental pick and just bend these out just very slightly. You don't want to bend them too much or else they'll pop out of their little housing or their little like track that they have. This one kind of looks a little sunken. Okay. Didn't have that in the first test, so it's a bit of an anomaly. Alright, let's try that again. Might spend a little extra time whacking it on my palm just to make sure I eliminated that issue. Okay, let's go back to Pampered Pets. Yeah, I think I just pressed in a little too hard. And it's not shutting off again, so that did it. So I passed test 2, I have to get a new top screen lens on, which I'm kind of running up against the battery of my phone that I'm using as my camera, so I'm just gonna have to change that lens off screen. Nothing, I'm not really missing much. So let me just note down here on this console. So it passed test 2, random power off once during whacking. Let me underline once, just to sort of emphasize that it only happened once. So I'm good on passing this console. So, hooray, most, if not everything passed. I'm very pleased. I think it was just one of them that had a problem. Yeah, I guess I'll just about do it.